what's his name?
We're live. Or it says setting up your meeting for Facebook Live, so it's doing it right now. We're probably live. While it loads.
The Marcus Walk.
All right.
Hello, everyone. We are the ChangeMakers. You know us, Alicia, Delana, and we have Pastor Carlton Lynch on the line with us today. Hello, Pastor Carlton.
Hello, how are you?
We are well, but I am personally vexed in my spirit, and I couldn't really get all of my thoughts out in a one post, and I didn't want to be a thread poster, so I decided to go live with, I was comfortable having Pastor Carlton on here because I have worked with him in the past when it comes to social justice. I absolutely trust him and appreciate all the work that he's done in Fort Wayne and the work that he's now doing in Benton Harbor, Michigan. And so I thank you for being here with us tonight. It's after 11 p.m. And so I really appreciate that. So I'm going to ask you a question. I saw on your Facebook recently, within the past day, that you were coming to Fort Wayne, your hometown. Can you tell us why you are coming to Fort Wayne?
I think first, let me say thank you for the opportunity to be on your platform. And I want to say that ChangeMakers, I believe that you all are making changes in the community. So many times when certain things I hear or see from afar off, I see you all on the front line. And it's good to be able to leave a community that I love and always will love, and to see young people on the front line making a difference and making changes. And so I want to say that first to you all and all of those that follow you and all of the feet that are on the ground marching and protesting and bringing attention and awareness to all of the ills of the community. I first want to commend you all. I didn't follow, I don't follow a lot of news anymore because I'm kind of, overloaded with things in my own community and other national projects I'm working on. I've been on a virtual book tour for the last couple of weeks. And so I hear about certain things in Fort Wayne. My family is still there. But I didn't get, oh, you got my book. That's dope.
How about your book?
You got my book, Try It Again.
Mm-hmm.
I had, when I got this text message, Paulette Nellums, the former NAACP president, called me and she says, you haven't made any statement. You haven't said nothing on social media. And I said to her, about what? And she began to tell me about the story. And at that time, I remember seeing something on Sean King's Instagram, but I didn't connect it whatsoever. And so after seeing what transpired on video in Fort Wayne, I got nervous because it always resonated on my mind, even when I was there. When you watch things in cities like Ferguson and Staten Island with Eric Garner and Stanford, Florida with Trayvon Martin, I used to always pray that the Lord would not allow any type of major ill. You know, there's always going to be a little sense of violence, but I never wanted anything to hit my hometown. And so when it did go out, it really just moved me like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. And I said this to Paulette, and I'll say this and turn it back to you. What we seen was not a murder, it was an execution. And I don't think that we should play it lightly. I believe that your group and any other social justice group is needed more than ever on the front line, because we don't want the prosecutor to roll over and play dead during this time. Not only do we want him prosecuted, but we also want changes. We want to make sure that the charges should be at a level where the community is comfortable. And so I just believe that when I said, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do when I decide to come, but now I kind of got an idea after seeing some news and some different clips today. And I'm sure we'll talk about that later.
Definitely. Yeah. We thank you for that. I want to thank Paulette Nellums for staying in tune with everything that's going on, because we do know that the way the culture is now, the reason that there is a ChangeMakers is because many of our, what I call our grandfather organizations, those pillars that we've been needing and that has been on the front lines for so many years, they did not come through. And that includes Black churches, Black pastors, and these organizations. I'll say in Fort Wayne, but it was across the country. I've heard and got firsthand accounts, but they did not come through this summer during the George Floyd uprisings for many different reasons. But I would say that that is the reason why there is a ChangeMakers. And so part of the reason why we're here tonight is because we have been having this reoccurring problem of there not being able to be an intergenerational connection when it comes to social justice in this city. I'll just keep it local, but in this city, we have been trying to make an intergenerational connection between the social justice movement and activists and organizers, and we haven't been able to do it. And so I think that with you having so many years of experience of activism in this city specifically, I think that you have an amazing perspective as to why we have people that are fearful to turn up the heat, because keeping the heat level or not having the stove on at all has not served us well, because I believe that we would not have had these injustices if we had people that had the city fearful enough to not allow it. And I think that it has been emboldened and empowered in this city. We know that with what Donald Trump did and what has been happening around the country, that we need to address these things head on to make sure that people know that it's not acceptable here. And we have not heard that from our leaders. And so I really appreciate you being here and want to ask you, well, we had a situation. Should we go into that situation as to why Alicia and I are back?
Well, let me say this before you go into it. Okay. I'm on you all's page, but listen, I need everybody that's on, I need you all to tag 5 people in Fort Wayne. Tag 5 people in Fort Wayne. I need as many of you as possible to hit share. Let me say this before you get to it. When you look at leadership, and I want you and your group to be to know this and understand this. Some people that's in position, they're just glad to be in some rooms. They're glad to just have a cell number that they can call a person direct. Let me tell you something. Anytime a prosecutor looks forward to you calling, then that means nothing is going on within that realm of the relationship. See, I'm not trying to be friends with the prosecutor. I'm not trying to be friends with the mayor. I'm not trying to be buddies with the sheriff. We can be friendly, but we're not friends. I want it to be at a relationship where you understand that when I call, I mean business. I'm not trying to side and get brownie points with the media and all of that, because too many people's lives, too many Black and brown bodies are dying in the streets while I'm trying to play buddy-buddy and trying to play politics and so forth. So I want you to understand that even while you continue to do it, people get nervous when change makers show up because they understand that's exactly what you all want is change. You're not trying to do Starbucks. You're not trying to go to the golf club. You're not trying to build Pacific relationships. You want just what you want is change. And I think what's going on now, even in Fort Wayne and throughout this country, when you look at social justice entities, we're just trying to get tickets to the professional hockey game. We're trying to build relationships so that we can put a call in. But if you are not demanding effective and immediate change, it's really a waste of time, and you're doing the community and the people a disservice.
Right. And we're right there with you, Carlton. And I appreciate you reminding us to have everybody go ahead and share. We know that in the community right now, there are a lot of people that have things to say because our community is hurting. I want to make sure that we understand the gravity of what happened here. And we could go ahead and get into exactly what did happen and how long it has been since something like this has happened. Unfortunately, we can report that it hasn't been that long, right? It hasn't been that long since we've heard the term hate crime thrown around in this city. And so do you all remember any cases that we've spoken about around hate crimes? Have we had any hate crimes recently in Fort Wayne? Because we know that Fort Wayne has been winning award upon award for being one of the most livable and likable cities. The mayor just came on maybe two weeks ago and said that they won an award for #1 for one of the most, livable, likable cities or whatever for young people. And so that means that this city, a city like that at #1 shouldn't have hate crimes, right? So have you all heard of any cases that involved a hate crime in this city? How long has it been?
I think the news in Fort Wayne just talked about a man even at Walmart. I remember that you all were talking about it and really trying to pull. And I think we got to talk about really what a hate crime is. And I know that you've had even the NAACP local president, Larry Giss, that made an outrageous statement that I believe personally, without any hesitation, I believe that it was a slap in African Americans' face. After all that our people have went through, all of the young Black boys and girls, women that have risked their bodies to bring attention and awareness to the hate that has been in this country for over 400 years. And for you to really be able to stand up and tell the media that because he didn't have anything on his Facebook page, because he didn't have anything on Twitter or Instagram, it doesn't connect. But I would have been okay with him if he would have made the statement that we need to look into further into his life to see, have there been any type of search at his house? Have we confiscated his computer to see what groups that he's a part of? So for you just to be able to stand before media and really throw another social justice group under the bus, I think was irresponsible on his part. And I would, in fact, even while we're fighting for justice, demand an apology from him. With the NAACP being the oldest civil rights group in our country, who spends time turning on the light of injustice, for you to say to another group to quit talking and do something, I think was a slap and it was embarrassing to be Black all at the same time. When you're talking about a group that's been on the front line for the last 6 months, bringing attention and awareness to police officers and people in authority, bringing attention to the disrespect that white supremacists have been treating Blacks, and for you to say, I don't see, because the truth of the matter is there's been a whole lot of people that have been charged with hate crimes, and there was nothing on Twitter. But you have to do a further investigation to figure out on whether or not this can be even considered. But don't you ever get before media and stand as though that your voice is the authoritative voice for Black people, and you will say that he didn't hate. If it wasn't hate, Larry Gifts, then tell us, what was it?
What was it?
Exactly.
I mean, my thing is that if you consider the facts, so maybe there's someone who has been under a rock and they don't know exactly what happened. So I want to give a quick rundown of exactly what happened on February 17th for anyone who does not know. Let me pull up these facts for you all. So on February 17th, 2 teenagers were murdered. Another is in a critical condition and is fighting for his life. We are praying for the families, of course, of Anderson Cooper and
Anderson Reddick, Joshua Cooper.
Anderson Reddick, Joshua Cooper, and Jalen Rice. We are still praying for those families. So what we do know, these are the facts. We know that a small verbal encounter occurred between Joseph Bossert and the 3 teens. Joseph Bossert circled around them and soon after left the Shell gas station. So he circled around them in his car, almost running over one of the teens. He left the Shell gas station for 2 minutes, the camera show. Joseph Bossert returned to the gas station and started firing multiple times at the teen's vehicle. When he was unsuccessful at stopping the car, the teens tried to drive off with the life that they had left, tried to drive off to get away from the gunshots. Joseph Bossert followed them in his truck. When the teen crashed into the snowbank, he had passed away. Unfortunately, Joseph Bossert got out of his truck and continued to fire at the vehicle of those teens. And so he killed 2 of the teens. He killed Anderson Reddick and Joshua Cooper. Rest in peace to those 19-year-old Black brothers. And we want to send our love and our prayers to their mothers and to their loved ones, to their friends and to their family. But that is what happened. And so when we say, was it hate? Was it not hate to not only try to run the kids over? Let's be clear, they are kids, 19 and 21. To try to run them over, leave the scene, come back with your gun, shoot at them, and then follow them in your truck, and then shoot at them again.
No, let's not say follow, let's say chase, okay? He chased after them. He hunted them down and murdered them. Unsuccessful at this first attempt. Unsuccessful. So he continued until he was eventually successful.
And so the question that we've been hearing in this city is the same question that we heard in 2019 in the slaying of, his name was DeMarcus Walker, 44 years old, was also hunted at a Walmart and beaten to death. And the city shut it down. We never heard of, we heard no accountability. Our organizations did not speak about it. And I just want to be 100% honest here. Our Urban League, our NAACP, our pastors, not everybody, but there was a very, very few that even wanted to address this. But this is the city of churches, and the city of churches failed to to uplift the voices and the concerns of the community. The community was crying out saying that this was a hate crime. He was killed because he was Black. This man, this monster that killed DeMarcus did not know him. And he was able to be apprehended after fleeing the scene. He was able to be apprehended alive. Joseph Bossert was apprehended alive, and he was armed, right? He did not, he did not comply with the officer's demands to exit his home, and he was apprehended alive. And so the facts here all show that there's some things that haven't come out yet, and we won't speak about that will further show that this was actually a crime that was driven by hate and racial bias. But just the facts that we do know that the teenagers were hunted down, as for us, in the video that is circulating online, it's clear that this was a crime that was driven by hate. And so one of the questions that's circling around right now is that there is no hate crime here. So why do we call it a hate crime? Does the fact that there is no hate crime law in Indiana change the fact that this is a hate crime? That is my question. Does the fact that there is no law that addresses this hate crime, does it make it any less of a hate crime? Question mark. For me, it is a clear no. We should not be speaking about the law right now. We could speak about that in our strategy rooms behind closed doors, but in public, we should be uplifting the fact that this man had an issue with these boys because they were Black. They did nothing to him. They posed him no threat. So
they didn't even respond to him.
When I hear of our local NAACP president, I want to read the comments that are problematic, because some people, I posted public on my page, and there were people who questioned my comment and my concern, and they responded to my post by saying that, but there's no hate crime law. So what was wrong with his comments? And so if you guys pull it up before me, if you can respond to that. But I want to pull up the article for that was posted tonight by Wayne TV with the interview that we're speaking of that was problematic. Let's pull up the article here. And you guys both read the article, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's clarify those comments that we were speaking about tonight. All right. So this was Fort Wayne. This was actually in BC. And the caption is gas station triple shooting, hate crime or not. All right. And the comments that we were discussing that were problematic are, it says, a community leader says just because a white man allegedly gunned down 3 Black men doesn't necessarily make it a hate crime. And so this is what Mr. Larry Gist, president of the local NAACP, said. He said, I know everyone's thinking this is a hate crime, but in Indiana, we failed to have a hate crime bill. So I want you guys to listen to that. I know everyone's thinking this is a hate crime, but there is no hate crime bill in Indiana. So we are responding to the facts that this man hunted and murdered these young boys with, but there's no hate crime bill. So why are we responding to facts with legislation? Mm-hmm. Do you guys understand what I'm saying?
But there's no bill. There's no bill. Couldn't have been a hate crime. There's no bill.
Exactly.
That sounds ridiculous.
Exactly.
You will not find a NAACP president nowhere that will make a statement as such as that. No, nowhere. You're trying to connect hate to paper.
Mm-hmm.
That since it's not on paper, it's not hate.
Right.
And if you all want it to, and you'll go to that part, if you want it to be hate, we got to do it the right way, and we got to get it on paper. So quit talking, Alicia, quit talking. ChangeMakers, quit just talking about it. Be about, because it's not hate until it get on paper.
Right.
Exactly. Yes.
You know, Daylana, you know, there's a, right after that, if he says, there's a statement here that's just ridiculous.
Yes.
He said, anyone that knows the NAACP, we let them do their initial investigation. And then if the final result is not to our satisfaction, then we move to the next level. So they wait until the whole process goes all the way through. Could be a year, could be 2 years down the road, when this whole thing has went through all the court dates and he's, you know, been sentenced and whatnot, and then you start to fight. That's when the NAACP starts to fight.
That's when the NAACP makes a statement in support of the family. That's when, and they wait until all the facts come out, right? That's when the NAACP say, oh, well, this is wrong. You guys didn't consider this and this. We want you guys to prosecute it thoroughly and objectively and fairly, thinking that there's the possibility of a hate crime. So they wait until everything is over. Then they say, well, this is what we wanted. Right. So the thing is that you don't have to say that it is a hate crime. But if you don't come out and say that we want you to consider that it is a hate crime based on this, and that, based on the record of prosecutions, Black men versus white men in Fort Wayne, we're looking at this and we want to make sure that this does not happen in this situation. You know, we can't wait. The evidence and the numbers, the percentages of Black men and the higher sentences that they have, all of that stuff points us towards saying that we are not going to tolerate that you guys handle it the way that you handle other cases. So this is what we demand. And so you step in front of it, right?
Let's just give them a little picture of what those numbers look like. So in Indiana, 1 in every 3 people, their sentence is 20 years or more. Okay, put that in your mind first. The second statistic: Black people are 5 times the population in Indiana prisons. 5 times the population to whites in Indiana prisons. So 1 in 3 of those people are in prison for 20 plus years, and more Blacks are in prison 5 times the rate of whites in Indiana.
And then there's we're a very small percentage of the population of Fort Wayne, but we're 5 times the percentage of white people.
I think 12.6% maybe.
Yeah,
that's in just Fort Wayne. But if you count the state as a whole, I'm sure it's much smaller.
Yep. And so, Alicia, I'm glad that you brought that up, the problematic statement, because I want to make sure that we break down a few things on here. So you went to that statement. There was a statement. So the thing is that if you give some people that are used to walking in their racist ways, if you give them a door, they're going to walk through it. So this story was already framed to communicate something, right? And so if you look at the interviews that they did, there was a statement on here that says, it says that while someone can be prosecuted at the federal level for a hate crime, Indiana remains one of 5 states not to have a true hate crime law. Okay, all right, so, okay, Allen County's chief public defender says in his 22 years of criminal defense work, he's never seen a case where that's been a factor. He's never seen a case where crime was committed because of a specific motivation, y'all. 22 years. He said that he's never seen a case in Fort Wayne, Indiana. In Fort Wayne, Indiana, he's never seen a hate crime where it was motivated by race, a hate of a race, or disability, protected class. Exactly. So 22 years, y'all, that means that they are not prosecuting hate crimes. That's proof right there, 22 years, and we know better. Okay, so that's 22 years that they've been sweeping this thing under the rug. So let's see what the chief public defender said. He said, if the prosecutor believes that the motive for the crime or the crime was committed based on a particular race, religion, disability, whatever it may be, then if they can convince the judge that that's why the crime was committed, then the judge has every right to use that as an aggravated factor. William Libredo. Now, Gist followed up and said what Alicia said, that anyone knows that the NAACP waits, right? Pretty much summarizing that. He also said that he says that nothing has been uncovered to show race was a motive. Oh my God. Carlton, did you see that? It says that he says that though that nothing's been uncovered yet to show race was a motive, y'all. Okay, I shoot you, like the video shows. Then you drive off to get away from the shots. Then I hunt you down and shoot you some more to make sure you dead. Come on now. All right, and we're gonna get all these statements in there. He says that if people believe the shooting was a hate crime, they need to take action instead of just talking about it. That's really a verbal attack to me.
Really? I think his statement also pertains to himself. You know. I haven't seen much action myself. I mean, I please, someone refresh me on what he has done here in this city.
Well, this is my thing, y'all. So I have worked closely with Larry Gist. And I have, I respect my elders that have been working for a long time, and I give people grace. We don't think the same. That's why I said that I push for intergenerational change, because the wisdom and the experience of our elders are worth so much. And I appreciate it. I have mentorship from people who've been in this game for a long time. But I will say that there are some things that young activists have to go through because our elders have not listened to us. And it is often, oftentimes people get comfortable with positions and with status. And we have to be very cautious of that. So I will say this, that while I respect Larry Gist, I really, really do. I respect some of the things that he's done in this community. We cannot take that away, and I wouldn't want to. But I will say in this, I'll just keep it real clear right here in this moment. This article was wrong. It wasn't for the community. It's damaging to the community. I want to apologize on behalf, I can't speak for the NAACP, but I'm going to speak for myself and my involvement with the NAACP. I apologize to the families that had to hear a leader in our community say that there is no evidence that proves this was a hate crime, that this was a crime that was fueled by hate. A hate crime is a crime that is fueled by hate. That's it. So that means I love you, but I'm going to shoot you and I'm going to hunt you down and I'm going to shoot you some more. If it wasn't hate, then what was it? If anything, we could have just stayed, I would have preferred for him to, just stay really in the middle lane. Like, we're waiting for the facts. We're waiting for more evidence, but we love and support these families. And we expect for the city, for the prosecutor's office first to prosecute this thoroughly, and we want transparency. We had a list of 4, ChangeMakers put out a list of 4 demands. He could have given those demands. We shared those with him. He agreed with them. He could have stayed very middle of the road.
You know,
but
instead, one thing's amazing. For you all's group to be talking about the hate crime, I would ask you all this question. Did the news ever reach out to you to get a formal statement on the hate crime?
They actually did reach out to us.
Not about the hate crime, though.
Well,
so your question.
Okay,
is,
okay. He said specifically hate crime. So no,
yeah,
they did not ask us.
So this has been you all's comments through social media, you know, and so forth. But it's amazing to me. You always got to ask yourself the question, not just so with Larry, but you have to ask yourself, how did he get this interview? Because people, especially media, is always to bring about divide and conquer. Mm-hmm. Because if it was really a well-worth story that wanted to be written and produced and go out to people, then why did you not interview the group that's calling for it?
Exactly.
Right.
How is it that you was able to find someone out of all the people in Fort Wayne, you located one person that's in position that leads an African-American body of people? How did you find him to speak against it? Or did he reach out to them?
That's a good question, because
see, we live in, hold on, Daisy, this is my last time interrupting you. See, we're living in a day that everybody is not going after change. Some people are just going after a stage. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that's what he's doing. If the shoe fits, tie it. All I'm saying is, while the tension is high in a community, everything that you say, people can dissect it, use it in the future as a sound bite for what you said on this day, Thursday, the Wednesday, the 24th. So now, a year from now, when you all begin to continue to fight for this bill, you had a president that leads the oldest civil rights charter in Fort Wayne go against. That's the issue that we're having. Some things we have to go back to the old school where you got to just get in a room and just iron it out. But you cannot get on television. You cannot, that clip, CNN is not there. But what they do is they pull different clips and sound bites from this story because it all still is connected to this incident that happened at this gas station. Right. That can't go out to Fox News. That's why we got to be careful. And that's why Larry needs someone, and I'm saying this in all honesty and in love, you got to have somebody to help you write your statement. He might not even know what he was saying. You have to start understanding that what you say could be used against us.
That's right.
And especially, when we go through times like these in our community, when we need each other the most, and we're supposed to be, fighting together as one unit.
That's
to right. That just creates a divide, because you have a whole group, a large amount of people in this city who completely disagree with what you just said, and that large amount of people, that's your people, and right now is not the time to make statements like that on TV about a group that's literally fighting for the same thing you are. We are fighting for the same things. We're supposed to be lockstep.
The question is, who do you represent? If your community is screaming hate crime, you go on the news and scream back at us to put up or shut up. But if
and here's the thing, Daisy, I want you to hold that statement. The thing Larry has to consider, that you're not speaking after the fact. You're not speaking 2 weeks after this incident. You're speaking in the heat of it. You're speaking. I used to, when I was in Fort Wayne, I made a lot of mistakes dealing with social justice because you didn't really know. And I've learned now to say less. Do more, but say less. Meaning, because you got parents that's still trying to wrap their head around what happened.
Yes.
You got parents that's not even in the city yet. You got a national activist that's posting, and there's so much going on. What do you say, Larry, if the parents of the children believe that it was a hate crime? Your job is to lean not to your own understanding.
Come on.
But your job is to stand with the family. I used to always make sure that before I speak, that I don't speak out of turn, because it's not my son. It's not my nephew. It's not my BFF. Y'all get what I'm saying? So even while you all are making moves, ChangeMakers, begin to have conversation with these families, because what you don't want to do is offend while you're trying to push your own agenda.
Exactly.
And sometimes in the midst of grief, a family may not be thinking about all these things. And sometimes I used to make it, Alicia, my business not to jump on a lot until after the funeral service, because that's a process all by itself, but to jump on and say, just undoubtedly, I've talked to the police and the prosecutor, the same police, and we're not talking about departments, we're talking about a system. The same system you talk to has been killing innocent Black boys all over this country. The same prosecutor that you talk to is the same system that has been allowing these police officers with their guns to go back to work. The same system that you're talking to is no different with this Joseph guy than George Zimmerman. He was not a law. He was not a police, but it took 46 days for him to be arrested, and after which he still went home. Believe it or not, as national as this story may get, there's going to be people that will pour resources into Joseph. Because the reality is there's a whole lot of people from the NRA, different organizations, that want us dead. So I think, Larry, you talk too soon on whether or not it is or is not. And to declare it with straight facts, I believe still that was wrong.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Carlton. I believe it was detrimental. Now that you have brought up the families, I just want to say that that's pretty much, and if you look at my Facebook post, that's exactly what I said, that these families should not have to go online and see this crap. They should not have to go online and see that. And that was the main reason why I posted. I mean, literally, what, 3 hours, 4 hours ago? That's exactly what I stated. And so, unfortunately, we have to do this, because if we don't hold ourselves accountable, then we will always, be going down the wrong direction. So if we continue to let statements like that be made, the people, the powers that be will always think that it's okay. Because I do believe that story was framed a certain way before they even called Larry. They called a person who they knew they could get a quote to plug into that story. That article was already written. That's how the media works. That story was already written. They needed a soundbite and a quote from somebody. They knew they wasn't going to get it from ChangeMakers, so they called Brother Larry, and they got exactly what they wanted. And everybody else who they quoted in that article was there already. Those statements were already there. And so I'm going to say this to a man that I have respected, that I have worked with, and that I have had conversations with, where we battled back and forth, like, you are wrong about this. Speaking and advocating for young Black people. Literally had a conversation yesterday and the day before yesterday about this exact thing. And I did not speak out, because I don't like doing stuff like this. I did not speak out, but I cried out to him to listen to us. Wait. Don't lean to your old, not your own, but your old understanding. You know what I'm saying? But some people are just that cocky and that vain, where they feel like, you can't tell me nothing. I've been doing this forever. You can't tell, young activists, you can't tell me nothing. And so I want to say to the community that we rocking with y'all, okay? We're always going to speak truth to power, always. Even with the possibility of losing things. We have lost things, but we have gained so much more. And there's a lot for the community to gain from speaking the truth. So don't focus on what you might lose, but focus on what you might gain. Mm-hmm. And that will be the lives of our young people. We cannot continue to lose. Boys died. I mean, I would just want us to be clear that we lost 2 teenagers that we weren't able to see transform from hoodie to suit jacket, transform from high school to video games, to my career, to my business, to my LLC. Lives that were snuffed out. We will never be able to see what they would have become. And we are hurt. Some people are just cold, lack compassion. Warning, do not come to me or my page bringing up the lack of legislation when it comes to this case. Yes, we need to fight for hate crime law, and we will. We have been sending emails. We have been making calls. So we're doing don't go online telling us to do the work when you ain't doing it. I know for a fact that you ain't sending no emails. I know for a fact that you haven't made no calls. So we're doing that work. But on this side, have compassion. You've been doing it for so long and you get all these scabs. You're hard on the outside. So the impact of this is not penetrating that hard shell. So I'll say this: I love you, I respect you, but I don't respect what you did. And I hope that we can sit down in a room and hash it out so that this won't happen again. And that's it for me, Anybody else,
I guess I could say something similar to what you said. I haven't worked with Larry Gist as long as you have. So the small bit of action and things that I have seen, You know, like they say across the country, you know, I don't think that the NAACP is what it used to be. It's not what it used to be. And it needs to be brought back to the people where it should be. You know, the NAACP was the original. You know, they were the original social justice organization fighting for the people. We need that more now than ever, and especially in Fort Wayne, especially in Indiana. It's mind-blowing that we don't have a hate crime bill. This is KKK land. This is where they originated. And we have no protection at all. It's sick. It really is. You know, and for those people out there on helping, fighting with us, you know, that have been by our side, have been in these meetings, have sent those emails, have showed up, showed out. Mm-hmm. We want to thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate all our supporters, our followers, our emailers,
yep,
our protesters, our demanders.
Yes.
We appreciate
editors,
yes.
our
editors,
lawyers.
yes. All that. We appreciate all that. Continue fighting. Like I said on my page the other day, a very trusted advisor.
Yes.
Told me the other day that an activist screams and makes noise. An advocate brings results. We are in this for the long haul. We are activists. We are advocates, and we will be here a year down the road when court is still in session. We'll be in those rooms.
We'll be here.
We're not going anywhere. It doesn't matter what you're going through. Mm-hmm. We'll be here.
And before we let Carlton speak, I just want to one more time reiterate that, you know, from me and from us and from ChangeMakers, we appreciate you. I know your church down there be making you feel real good, but just from us, from the ChangeMakers, we appreciate you, Carlton. You do amazing things for the community, and you've been doing it for a long time. Food, money, gas, whatever. You're so innovative. The help that you sent down to Texas. You know, so, you know, the thing is that you have a mind that's on another level when it comes to community work. This is what you've been anointed to do. And so we appreciate your mentorship, you know, when it comes to these things. And so we're excited for you coming here. We know that you will be here, and we know that you don't come for no games. So everybody just stay on your toes. You know, look for an update, because we'll update you as soon as Carlton updates us. But we're going to give you the floor to wrap things up. But just know that from ChangeMakers to you that we appreciate you, and we'll be at your next appreciation service with an offering, you know. And, you know, that's why as soon as I saw your book, Try It Again, I bought it. We took part in your workshop. And so we appreciate things coming from you. And the book is amazing. So purchase this book, Try It Again. Try it again. We're going to keep trying. So Carlton, you got the floor.
All right. So I'm coming to town. I'm going to release the date probably by Friday, but it'll be next week. I'm coming to just hang out with ChangeMakers. Nothing big, nothing too official. But today I had an opportunity to talk to Paulette Nellums on the phone. And as soon as I heard and began to hear the story more, I called the mother of Eric Gardner that was choked in Staten Island. And it was that young man that died at the hands of the police after screaming, "I can't breathe." I believe 11 times, I believe. And she's been to my church. We was together again at the March on Washington. And I want her to be able to come to my home and to just encourage you all's group and allow her the opportunity to talk to other mothers, if you all can round them, a few of them up, that are still dealing with the grief and the pain of losing a loved one. I am taking care of the expense for her, myself, flying her, hoteling her, and all of that. But I definitely want to bring about something that would try to pull the community together. Because when you start dealing with court proceedings and trials and plea bargains, is going to be a rough road ahead. And I want you all to continue to tweet, continue to write, not just to Sean King, appreciate the brother, what he's providing for the family, but the world needs to know that an injustice, execution has taken place in the city of Fort Wayne. A hate crime has taken place in the city of Fort Wayne. Don't change you all's narrative. Don't change your content. It is what it is. And so I'm coming, and we're going to do a press conference once we arrive, and for you all to give me the location of where we would do it at. And I just think that it's time. I think it's time that you all continue to fight for the community and take it by force. I was with Reverend Al Sharpton. Man, this pandemic messed me up. I don't know what month it was. June or July. And I preached for his Saturday morning broadcast. And he always said to me that a lot of people don't know that he started activism under the Reverend Jesse Jackson. And he was a kid activist. And how now he's trying to do the same thing that Reverend Jackson did for him. Really poured into him, trained him, hollered at him, preached at him, and really pushed him into activism and taught him the do's and the don'ts. And I think what has to happen that even in you all's community now with the NAACP in all of these cities, a lot of the churches, I was telling Pastor Pettis a couple of days ago, that as you get older, your team has to get younger because the young, they have a different mindset. They got a different energy. They have different fire. And no one is ever trying to push the old out, but the old has to be willing to accept new. The reality is I don't do a lot of the marching and protesting that I used to do, but it's some young kids in this city that I start with them and jump in the car days, and I meet them at the destination, and I'm right there cheering them on, and they respect me. Not that I'm old, but I've been doing it. I watched and I salute him, Reverend. People don't even know what really got me into activism was really the Reverend Michael Latham. I seen him literally shake up a city.
Me too.
The NAACP was at its strongest. People don't want to admit it under Reverend Michael Latham. Reverend Latham, white people didn't move him. People of power, prestige, popularity, it did nothing. he understood that he was a Baptist preacher on the south side of Fort Wayne.
Right.
He understood that he pastored poor people, and he understood that it's not my voice for my own well-being, but he understood what it is to speak for the people that he served.
Right.
And I'm telling you, he worked with prosecutors, but they didn't like to see him coming.
Yeah.
But they had to respect him. He had no favorite chief of police. I remember a long time ago, he told me they're all the same. And I used to, and so I learned from him. And then I learned from Mike Nicholson. Latham taught me how to get in the streets, and but Mike Latham taught me how. Mike Nicholson taught me how to sit in the office and what phone calls need to be made, and how to go from boycotting to negotiation, how to make deals. He taught me partnerships. Mike Nicholson called me to his office one day, Daisy, and I thought that I was moving pretty good because I was on the news and all of that. I never forget. Mike Nicholson called me to the office, and he said he used to call me young blood, and he said, "Did you endorse Wendy Davis to be judge?" I said, "Yeah, she called me, and we had lunch." He says, "You know her background?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "Why you endorse her?" I said, "Oh, I believe she's gonna help. She's gonna be fair." He said to me this, and I never forget it. He said, "Son," he said, "never endorse a prosecutor to be judge." He said, "Because all they know is time." And so I didn't think about it. I didn't know she served as a deputy prosecutor, and she worked in that field. And so things like that, and you all had to be able to listen. The old guys, they teach a whole lot of lessons. Old activists. You got Dee McKinley, that was one. She's the mother, honestly, in Fort Wayne now. She's really considered the mother of civil rights because she was one that was in Alabama when they loosed the dogs on them and the water hoses. And so those are the stories. But you want to be able to have a time to sit with her and remind her they're not loosing dogs anymore. Mama D, they shoot him.
Yeah.
So you got to be able to bring them up to speed to where we are now. And so hopefully Larry would hear you all. I would be so thrilled if we don't even call for an apology, if you can just recant your statement.
Yeah.
Because I don't want anybody to believe that this isn't hate. And we understand that terminology, hate crime, when you look at it, it's not dealing with anger or being mad. It has to deal with that you targeted a specific religious or race and gender
identity.
Yeah, and it turned into a violence. And you just can't make me believe, if it was one person, I may give it to you. If it was two, I will meet you at the 50-yard line. But 3 Black boys that you already literally killed, but still had enough in you to continue to go after them. I believe, again, and I say it loud, I need everyone to put this on their social media page. This was not a murder. It was an execution. It happened in the city.
Type it in the chat. This was not a murder. This was an execution. Yeah. Remember when you're speaking about it to call it what it is, an execution.
And this happened in the city that all of us love, that we were born, raised, some of us. And so we can't roll over and act like it didn't happen. We got to fight. And so I stand with you all and all that good stuff. You're doing an amazing job. I'll see you all next week.
Thank you, Carlton. Good night, everybody. Keep praying for the families that was impacted by this tragedy. Peace.
We're gonna need it.